In a world full of bad news, this podcast is a source of good news, real talk, and real inspiration. On this show, you'll hear stories of growth, legacy, and entrepreneurship. Everyday people who overcome real challenges to build something meaningful. My name is Stephen Padernacht, third generation Bronx born and raised in the real estate game. This is the Padernacht Podcast, Brick by Brick. Karoline Rodriguez is a Bronx-based realtor, former global brand ambassador in luxury fashion, and a woman of deep faith and purpose. She's faced life-altering loss, grown with adversity, and built a career grounded in service to others. From losing her mother at a young age to climbing the ranks in the fashion world and pushing through that make-or-break first year in real estate, Karoline's story is one of resilience and relentless belief. Today, she's not only helping families build wealth through home ownership, but she's also making cultural history as a proud leader and ambassador of the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade, opening doors and uplifting her community every step of the way. This episode is about faith, legacy, and never letting anyone tell you that your dreams are too big. Let's get into it with Karoline Rodriguez. So,
wow, that was really good. Thank you. Wow, I felt like a little tear coming down.
How does it feel to hear those things?
It feels amazing. Thank you.
Did you picture yourself when you were a little girl in Puerto Rico that you'd be sitting here listening to such wonderful things about yourself?
No, never. I'm literally getting emotional. No, I didn't. I always knew that God had big plans for me, but I did not know exactly what those plans were.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's important, and especially on this platform, to highlight people that I find extremely interesting, people who are making different sort of impacts on their community. So that's why I asked you to be here today, because I see you from a distance, right? Like, we've known each other for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But all of the work that you've put into, especially recently with the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade, really, like, for me, it really gave me a different perspective of you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I said this to you, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, all right, so are you finally done with...
You did say that.
With all of your work, because you've been putting in so much work.
Yeah, no, 6 months, just like nonstop, hustling from... doing the castings, doing orientation for the contestants, reaching out to like donors, setting up the school for rehearsals is nonstop.
What was your actual role with the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade? Because that's what it was, right? It's not the Puerto Rican Day Parade in the city, it's the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Yeah, it's the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade. So I'm the director of cultural affairs for the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade, and I oversee the cultural pageant, which is the men and the women's pageant. My job is to basically put everything together, encourage our contestants to learn about their, country and where they're from and things like that, and the music, and have an amazing pageant.
How did you end up in that role? I imagine it's not something that like you could just sign up for, or like, did you know people? Like, how did you end up there?
So the crazy thing is that this all started in 1991, right?
Okay.
When I was 11 years old, 12, around there.
Okay,
I can't even remember because it was so long ago. But my father got me involved in the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade so that I would never forget where I came from, right? We were fresh out of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I just, I kept participating year after year after year.
So you were a contestant?
Yeah, I started off as a contestant.
Okay.
Correct. I started off as a contestant. Like, I loved it. I met so many people, and it just kept... reminding me of, never forget, where you were born and, and our traditions and our culture and all that good stuff. So I absolutely loved it. Then, because my father was so involved in that world and in the community, he was an activist, he connected with all those people out there. Mm-hmm. When he passed away, unfortunately, I just kind of, stopped doing it.
Okay.
So then a couple of years later, God just put it in my spirit that I needed to go back. But I needed to go back in a different level. Mm-hmm. So I prayed about it. I started making phone calls. I'm trying to get in contact with the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade. I couldn't get in contact with nobody. I'm like, maybe this is not meant. But I wanted to do this for my father too,
Okay.
kind of like taking on his legacy, I guess you can
Yep.
say, right? Because he's the one that got me involved, and then he was so involved in the Puerto Rican and Hispanic community. So for me, it was just kind of like picking up where he left, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, of course. So you were involved in the parade for a very long time, and then you went away from it. I guess you grew out of the contestant stage, and then you.
Well, I couldn't even participate anymore because at that time, I think you were able to participate until you were like 27 or 26 or
Okay.
something like that. So I couldn't participate anymore.
All right.
That's really, yeah.
All right, and then something called you back. It was you wanted to.
Yes, I just honestly, like, I just started having like these thoughts in my head of wanting to go back and give back to the Hispanic and in the Bronx Puerto Rican community.
Okay.
And then I went on Facebook and I ended up finding the page of the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade. So I'm like, hi, my name is Karoline Rodriguez.
Do you guys remember me?
Right. I
Something
wanted to
like-
say that, yeah, but I was like, I was a contestant. I started when I was 11 years old. I did it for many years. I would love to, give back somehow. Like,
Okay.
whatever you guys need done, I'm here. No one responded to me.
Okay.
And I think I never gave up. That's one thing about me, never give up. Somebody's gonna.
Resilient.
Yes, I didn't give up. And then one day I get this phone call from the gentleman that was one of my father's best friends, who is a powerhouse in the Bronx.
Okay.
He was a pillar. His name is Federico Perez. Like, if you know, you know. And he reached out to me. He was like, Caroline, I would love to go to the gala of the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade. Do you think that you can reach out to them? And this guy, he's 82 years old, 82, 85.
okay.
He's around there.
Yeah.
Federico, sorry if I got your wrong age.
That's all right.
So he's like, do you mind reaching out? I was like, you know what? As a matter of fact, I've been reaching out because I want to get involved in the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade. But because you're telling me that they have this gala coming up that I forgot about, I'm going to reach out again.
Okay.
So then now finally, I think maybe like saying his name, they got back to me. So they were like, hey, everything is sold out. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do. And I was like, well, if you guys have any cancellations, just like, please keep me in mind. I would love 2 tickets. If you can only get 1 ticket, then I immediately thought about Federico.
Yeah.
I was like, you can just give it to this guy, Federico. They were like, oh, he sounds familiar. But I'm like, trust me, you will want him to be at your gala.
Yeah.
So then they never got back to me. And then now God, because God works in mysterious ways, I get a phone call from a friend of mine who's one of the owners of Barrio BX. And I have to
Okay.
give him all the credit. Tony Martinez always coming through. And he was like, hey, what are you doing next week? And I'm like, no, nothing, just probably working. Because
Yep.
that's what we do. We work 24/7.
Yep.
And he was like, well, the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade is having a huge gala. And, me and my partners, we bought a table. Would you like to come? I said,
Wow.
what?
Yeah.
I said, Tony, do you have 2 tickets? I can explain it later. He was like, listen, not a problem. I told him who the guy was. And he was like, don't worry about it. Just when you get to the door, just tell them that you're with actually Metro Plus.
Okay.
And they'll let you in. So I'm like, I can't freaking believe
You've been
this.
trying
This
to get
is
into-
crazy.
yeah.
This is insane. So the day comes, I'm super excited. I get there. I mean, I run into so many people that I have not seen in like 10,
I remember
15
you telling me that.
years. I was like, wow. And it felt right, Steve. It felt right. I felt like home. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So now the president of the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade comes up to me and she grabs my hand like this. And she was like, you look familiar. And I said, girl, let's talk. I've been around for a very long time. And so has she. So then I told her, I was like, oh my God, this is so great. I was like, listen, I'm so happy. I've been wanting to talk to you, but it's hard to reach you. And I said, listen, I want to get involved. I don't know at what level, but I want to get involved. Like, I have so many ideas. I want to help with elevating the pageants. And I would love to sit down with you and talk. And she was like, oh my God, yes, don't go anywhere. So like for like 5 minutes, she's like walking around with me. She's at the step and repeat, don't leave, no te vayas, no te vayas. She's having conversations with the politicians. And I'm like, okay, Maribel. I was like, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere.
That's
So then-
such a cool story. Like, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so you,
yeah. So then I think like a couple of days later, she was like, you know what? Let's sit down. Let's talk. She was like, what are your ideas? And she was like, I would love for you to be, you know, part of the board and, you know, and help with the pageant. So when I told her my story, how it started, I told her my history, my dad, everything. She was like, oh my God, it only makes sense that you are in a position to of a creative, right? So when I proposed all these ideas, she was like, you know what? That director of cultural affairs, that's what it is. That's where you belong, girl. I was like, yes.
that is, it's so interesting because you were reaching out to them, and then all of a sudden, through a completely different resource, you ended up being there, and then meeting this woman who you knew her
So
beforehand?
I seen her before because she was very close with the prior president of the Bronx Puerto Rican Day
Okay.
Parade. She worked with him, and unfortunately, he passed away. But she was always around for many years.
I imagine that group that runs the parade is a tight-knit group, right? And maybe it's people that's been there for many years.
Many years, 10, 15, maybe even 20. Very long time, actually.
And a lot of the people that you ran into that night, they were people that you had remembered from your childhood.
Oh my God, yes. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like so excited. You know, I'm a grown woman. I'm like, oh my God, hey, do you remember me? Because I remember you.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that's how you ended up in the position that you were in. So it makes sense why you were so dedicated to it.
Yeah, I mean, I started my own little team and everything of pageant coordinators. I have my men's coordinator, which is Ray Vargas. He's absolutely amazing.
Okay.
And then I have Jocelyn and Janet who do the women and the kids side. So
Amazing.
they're like my right hand. I have like 3 right hands.
I want to back up just a little bit, right? Well, actually, a lot of it. I want to talk just a little bit about your childhood. So you had mentioned to me and you had told me that you were born in Puerto Rico and then you came over here. So you were how old when you got here?
11.
11 years old. So what was it like transitioning from being in Puerto Rico to now being in the Bronx?
Oof, it was hard. It was very hard. I did not speak any English. I did not like it. I didn't like it here. I had to go straight to summer school, to ESL class. You remember ESL?
I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, I never had to go, but I do remember.
Well, while
it.
everyone's out there, you know, having a good time, I'm here in summer school, you know, trying to, you know, learn English. I'm still learning English.
No, you're pretty well versed in English at this point.
Yeah, no, it was a hard transition. It was just very different. Like the lifestyle, the not being able to, you know, speak the language. You know, I grew up in a very sheltered home, and life in New York, it's pretty different.
Yeah, the Big Apple, you know, like.
Yeah.
So
a lot.
do you have siblings?
Yes, I do.
Older, younger?
So I'm the oldest from mother and father.
Okay.
It's 6 of us. And then from my dad's side, forget about it.
But in your household, when you came over here, you were the oldest at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So being the oldest, I imagine that you have these younger siblings that are maybe looking up to you, so you have to kind of set the example for them, no?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure.
I bet. So you're coming over here, so there's got to be a lot of adjustments. I mean, life in Puerto Rico and life in the Bronx, right? Like, first of all, you're nowhere near a beach, or not.
No, and I lived in a house. We lived in a big house, and now I lived in this, you know, small
Apartment.
1-bedroom apartment that my father miraculously turned into a 2-3 bedroom. So my father was a handyman, so it's like he can build anything. When I tell you that he took that living room, because the living room was huge, and he made up a wall. He literally built a wall. I don't even know how that man did it, but he took that 1-bedroom apartment and turned it into a 3.
Wow. And you, I would imagine that it's such a culture shock, right? Because obviously you don't speak the
Yeah, that's
language,
true.
and making new friends, right? Like what was going through? I don't know if it's hard, if you can even remember, but being that young, and did you have any issues like dealing with this culture shock, and like how did you deal with that, and how did you overcome it? And because I would have never known that you were not born and raised here.
Yeah.
If you didn't share that with me, I would have never known that.
I don't know. It was tough. Like I do remember my first friend. Her name is Miriam Rosa. She's Dominican.
Okay.
And we just, we clicked right away. And but everybody else, I just felt like they were very guarded. Like
Okay.
I came in with a lot of innocence, ignorance, everything, and
Whatever you want to call it.
whatever exactly. And I just felt like the kids that I was meeting, they were just different. It was just different. Can't even explain it.
Did it take a long time for you to get assimilated, or did you kind of?
Yes, I always felt like I was like the outcast.
Okay.
Like I couldn't. I just couldn't. We couldn't click. I don't know what it is. We were so different. I was so different.
And so what prompted the move? Like your parents obviously decided that they thought that this was a better situation for them and for your family. What did you ever ask them? Did you ever find out like what prompted that move?
I think so. My dad, when we lived in Puerto Rico, he was a very successful business owner. He owned about 7 businesses,
Wow,
and
okay.
unfortunately, with success and money and power, it also comes a lot of problems. And my father had done business with people that were not the nicest, the
Okay.
best, and a lot of things just kind of change. And I know that my father can't really talk about it.
I get it. So
Something with the brother, and it was just too much. It was like too much drama. He wanted like new beginnings, for us to live the American dream.
Yep.
My aunt had already, came here to New York, so he just
Okay.
felt it was the right time. But we started. I can't, like, I did ask my dad a couple of questions, but like, oh, just don't worry, mind your business. And but I know he went through a lot. Like I don't know. It was just a lot.
Well, it's a fresh start, right?
Fresh start. I mean, fresh start and a sad start because we lost everything. My father lost everything, and I told you we went from living in this big house and my father having all these businesses to now living in a 1-bedroom apartment that he converted into a 3, and starting from, we had nothing, like.
And at that point,
At this point, we were poor, which is crazy. Just even thinking about it, because then, us being, 4 at that time, my mom had to get into the system because we couldn't really afford, much. And my father, I barely saw him. He just started working nonstop. Huge workaholic.
and were you? So one thing that I've always, and you and I have amazing conversations about, is faith and God. At this point, were you in the church, or did you lean on the church, or was your faith a big part of your family? Like, where does that come from?
The funny thing is that we would go to church. I would go to church with my father and with my family, but I didn't want to go to church. I didn't have that connection. Like for me, it's just, like most, Puerto Rican, Italian cultures, we grew up in this traditional Catholic mindset, right? I guess you can say, and I didn't have that connection. I didn't like going to church.
Well, I think that for me, a lot of times growing up, I felt like I was force fed.
I was just gonna tell you that I was forced to go to church. So it was like, like I'm a teenager. It's Sunday morning. My father's like, everybody get ready. We're going to church, and I went because I had to go to church. But I stopped when I was 21 years old. I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't want to go to church. He was like, what?
So how did you find your way back? Because you're so, again, just going back to like, to me, when I think of you, I think of somebody who's extremely faith-based. Like you're sending me
100%.
clips. You're sending me clips of like scripture and like
you would like that clip I sent you. Yes, I know, because I thought of you. I'm like, Steve, gotta send this to him.
So how did you find your way back?
Steve, honestly, it all started with the death of my father. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I hit rock bottom in my life, and I said, God, if you really exist, like, you would give me a sign. You would show yourself, because I can't take it anymore. I felt, I told you I lost my mom. I lost my dad. I felt alone. I'm like, I felt empty. I felt, why am I here? Like, show yourself to me. Everybody's always talking about God, and I go to church, but I just like, I don't have that connection. And God slowly started to reveal himself to me.
How old? So I don't want to overgloss this. So how old were you when you lost your mom?
21.
21. And then how old were you when you lost your dad?
I think 32,
Okay.
33.
So at that point, you're just saying to yourself, like, God, show me something,
Well,
right? Like,
I mean, yeah. And then my father was never a smoker. You know, my father worked in the nightlife. He was a general manager of a lounge. So now we get this report from the doctor that my father got cancer from secondhand smoke. Ain't that crazy? So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, God, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you know, no, but you know what it's like. That's like a slow death. To see your parent go through that, that's like torture every single day. I mean, but it got to the point that I got used to it. And then you just start thinking that they're never going to go, you know?
how long was he sick for?
The crazy thing is that my mom passed away, I think, in 2001. And then my father got diagnosed, I think, in 2005 with tonsil cancer.
Okay.
And then he beat it, right?
Okay.
By the grace of God,
Yeah.
5-6 years later, something like that. And then now he grows it again. And this time, yeah, they say that it's, you know, that it's pretty serious. You know, he continues to fight and fight and fight and fight. And I think like, I don't know if it was like 6-7 years later that's when they said that it was terminal.
My situation was just a little bit different. Like my dad got diagnosed. I remember it was March 2008. I'll never forget the day that he got diagnosed. And then by February
March
2009, March 2008, and then by February 2009, he had passed. So like we only had that 1 year, less than a year really. It was like 11 and a half months
That's
or whatever
tough.
it was. Yeah. So, you know, at least, you know, you had that time, your dad showing the strength of fighting through it, right? Like, you know, listen, that sort of sickness, like, you know, it beats you up, like, right? Like going through like all of the treatments and going through all the doctors and all this. And then you as a daughter watching him go through this, like that's got to be extremely tough for you.
Yeah, no, it was tough. You know, my father was my rock. He was my protector. He was my everything. And to see him become weak, and you know, it hurt. It hurt. But you know, at the same time, I looked at it like God was giving me a second opportunity with having my father here longer versus my mom. That was like a sudden death. You know, she had an asthma attack, and I lost her right there in front of me.
Wow.
That was tough. So, and I didn't really have a relationship with my dad like that because my father, it was all about work, which sometimes it makes me think, Caroline, you need to slow down. And like they say, you know, smell the flowers, because the reality is that tomorrow's not promised, and we're not going to take these things with us. You know, listen, as long as your bills are paid, take a breather.
I think that our generation has a much different perspective. I think that our generation has a much different perspective when it comes to work-life balance. Like I grew up in a household where my father too was just a workaholic, work.
I've never had work-life balance. I'm still working on it because I never saw my parents have that.
But I personally try my best to have that balance. And yes, during the week, Monday through Friday, I work, but I take my vacations. I take my Saturdays or my Sundays, whatever it is. Like I make sure I have one day to myself and to the family and to spend time there, which is something that like I did not get to necessarily experience. My mother taught me how to throw a baseball. My mother taught me how to ride a bike.
Wow.
My mother taught me how to shoot a basketball. My mother is the one who did that stuff because my father was always working. I've never seen my father, I never in my life saw my father in a pair of sneakers.
Oh, me too. My dad, I never. By the way,
pants and shoes.
Yes, same thing with my dad. My dad never saw him in jeans. By the way, he never owned a pair of jeans.
Same.
My father was like one of those old school, traditional. Oh, he cared the image to him. He's like, you got to look presentable, Caroline. The same conversation we were having a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
He was all about that. He was looking good 24/7, formal wear 24/7. I'm like, Dad, papi. He's like, a mí no me importa. I'm not wearing no jeans or sneakers. I think he owned one pair and it's white. My
dad didn't even have that.
But it was way later on,
Yeah.
like after, you know, he got sick and stuff like that. For
comfort.
Yeah, for comfort, yeah. So fun.
How did losing your parents at such a young age impact like who you are today?
I mean, it was, you know, again, it was tough. Like I just had to, no choice but to step up and, you know, be my own protector and my own my own everything, right? Because now my mom is not there, my dad is not there, and I just had to go on this hustle type of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain.
Do you have any mentors or anybody that you kind of after losing your parents that you can kind of go to or speak to?
No, God.
Okay.
God was
well,
my,
that's a great one.
yeah.
Right? Imagine if you didn't have him, right?
Well, I know what it's like to not have God, and I know what it's like to have God, and I choose God every single time.
It makes sense to me now when I asked you the question earlier about how you found your way back to your faith, and you said it was after your father passed. It makes sense to me now, right? Because where else are you going to go? And that's what God wants from us. He wants us to turn to him in not only in the moments of great joy, but also in the moments of great despair. And that sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, definitely. There's this saying that it says that you don't really know God until you hit rock bottom, because God is the rock at the bottom.
That's a great one. Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, like, that's why you see me every time I see you, I talk to you about God, where we talk about God. That's why I'm so passionate about God.
You're like a prophet to me. Like every time I see you, you're
do you remember
the word?
Yes. Do you remember the time it's funny because I was thinking about the other day and I was laughing to myself when we were talking about not recently, like Catholicism and stuff like that.
Yes.
We started talking about confession. That's the second time that you and I, we had that thing. I said, well, you don't really want me to talk to you about confessions and why you should not be doing confessions to a priest, to another person. And do you remember what you did the first time we had that conversation?
I don't. What did I do?
You got up and you was like, I'm not ready for this.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Because it was like the middle of the day. Like,
you was like, I don't want to know, Carol, like, this is too much. I said, but Steve, it's the truth. You was like, oh, maybe another time, maybe another time.
Yeah. I wasn't ready for it. Because you know how it is, right? Like, when we're in the office and I see you in passing and I know that if I ask you a certain type of question, I'm gonna get like the super in-depth like
Steve, I'm gonna need you to sit down.
let me just I'm happy you asked me that question, Stephen. Here's my thoughts on that.
Oh my God.
So I think that's wonderful though. That
I was preaching to you the last time when we were in the kitchen talking, sitting there eating. You was like, why do people, what was your question? But I said, great question, Stephen. I got the answer for that. He was like, God.
I think that was about confession though as well. I think that might have been about confession as well. Because I asked you no, you know what it was? I asked you the difference between Catholics and then Christianity and the different
and I said, great question, Steve. As a matter of fact, I have the answer for you. I was dying. No, but listen, going back to, my faith and stuff like that, that's why I'm so passionate, because I was that person that did not have that relationship with God. I grew up in religion. God is not about religion. God is about a relationship. So it got to the point that I got my Catholic side and I got my Christian side pulling me, telling me what to do, what to be, which is what I spoke to you a couple of days ago. And it just got to the point that I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm confused. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to listen to you. God, I need you to... Actually, I consulted one of my older sisters who was a Catholic.
Okay.
I started to notice that she had this glow. And I said, Ruthie, there's something different about you. And she said, it's God. And I'm like, no, I don't know. It's something different. And the more we talked, the more she said that she have left religion. And then now she was in a relationship with God. She had a relationship with God. So I said, I want what you have. And she was like, just pray. And I'm like, but I am praying. And she said, no, pray with your heart. And there is also a Bible verse that God talks about, praying with your heart. Like,
as opposed to the Our Father, the Hail Mary, the cookie cutter sort of prayers.
God is like, just talk to me. Like, have that straight up conversation with me. If you look at the Bible, you don't see that. God says, right? We mentioned before that God gave up, his only son, Jesus Christ, so that we can have freedom, so we can have direct access to him, and that we are, free from bondage, right? Free from everything. So then why should I have to go to another human that can make mistakes, right? Because we all bleed the same way to talk to God to forgive me. Like, I shouldn't have to do that. Where in the Bible does it say that I have to do that? It doesn't say it.
I was just gonna say, does it say it?
No, it doesn't. But if people picked up the Bible, they can see. And listen, I'm talking to myself too, because I just been praying to God. I need to be more consistent with reading the Word, versus just listening to people. Even the pastor, they make mistakes too. We have to seek the Word of God. The Bible is basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Basic? Oh, Bible.
Yes, and that is what God left us. That is the Word of the living God.
Give me that again. The Bible is?
Yes, living, right? Living instructions before leaving Earth. Basic instructions. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Wow, I've never heard that.
But it makes sense.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
All the answers to all the questions that we have are literally on the Bible. You don't have to go to whoever. Like, even the pastors, they say themselves, like, you know what? Go to the Bible and see if what I said is there. And that's what I do. But we're so programmed, and I hate to say this, that religion brainwashes us to believe things. We're not even reading it ourselves. And that's when I started educating myself. I started to see that God was speaking to me. I'm like, oh my God, like, this is real. God is real. And then I think of my life when I was in religion and I didn't have that relationship with Him, to when I hit rock bottom and I learned about Him and I grew this relation. And I see the difference in my life. So how can I not praise Him? How can I not spread the good news? He's everything to me. I'm nothing without God.
So as I stated earlier, I was like force-fed it my entire life. And
Same.
of course, the minute that it was my decision to not have to go to church anymore,
hell break loose.
I was like, deuces. I was like, I'm out of here.
Same, that's what I did. My father was like, oh,
My mother was
man.
very disappointed in me. But I was like, Mom, and at that point, there was a lot of stuff going on in the church and this, that, and the third, and I used that as an excuse, but I just didn't want to.
I use that as an excuse too, but the reality is that we're not there for other people. We are there to build a relationship with God.
Yes, agreed. And now, but I've always had this sort of my own relationship with God, and I did that, and I was raised, so my father was Jewish, my mother was Catholic. So what? Yeah, so very different sort of upbringing, right? Like my father believed that we should be raised in the same religion as our mother. So I was, baptized, confirmed, received the Eucharist. So I was raised in the Catholic Church, but I watched my father accept my mother's religion and my mother's faith and accept the fact that his children were going to be raised in the church. And he was always very, his path was not that of your typical Jew, right? Like he taught us, and not on purpose, but just watching his relationship with God. He always said, like, your relationship with God is your relationship with Him. It doesn't necessarily have to be defined by any one sort of religion. And I guess that's kind of what stuck in my head. And as I got older, and as I go through hard times, and as I go through things, praying to God, talking to God, and my prayers, listen, if I had to right now do the Our Father, I don't think I could do it. Like, to be honest with you.
Well, because you don't remember it?
Because I don't remember it.
Oh, that's funny. I remember it.
But, I mean, I could do probably most of it, but I'll skip a couple words. Same thing with the Hail Mary, right? But I know how to talk to God. And that, I think, is the most important thing. So when you talk to me about these things and about how, like, religion is not necessarily what you should focus on, and it's the relationship, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, good. Hallelujah, Steve.
I want to switch gears just a little bit out of faith and go into business and work and career. So you were a global brand ambassador. Talk to me a little bit about that career, how you ended up there, what actually you were doing there, and how that played a part in your life.
So before I worked for that company, the company's Montclair, which is very well known.
The jackets?
For like their, fancy, stylish jackets. I used to work for Kenneth Cole.
Okay.
I worked in retail for many years, and my boss at that time had left Kenneth Cole, and he went into Montclair. So when he went into Montclair, he's like, hey, I have an opportunity that's opening up. I think that you should consider it. So for me, I was comfortable in Kenneth Cole. I was like, oh, I'm not really sure. And then it was luxury. It felt a little intimidating. not for nothing, it's a whole different level.
Well, Kenneth Cole to Montclair, that's a completely different brands.
Yes. So
Clientele, brands, the whole nine
oh,
yards.
everything. And I don't know what it was, but it's just like, I just felt super hesitant. He's like, just like, trust me, like this is not only going to help you, grow professionally, but it's also going to help you grow, personally, which is crazy because it completely changed my life. Then one day, after thinking about it for like an entire year and a half, I give him a call. I was like, listen, I don't know what my problem was.
You were weighing your options.
Yeah. I called him. I was like, listen, I think I'm interested. I think I want to apply. He was like, not a problem. Get the application or print out the application. I can't even remember because it was so long ago. Just come in and I'll give you an interview. So I applied for the position, which was actually, now I remember why I hesitated so much. And it was because he had a seasonal sales position, which is not, it's not permanent. It's scary. Yeah. I'm like, I'm leaving my full-time job to go into a seasonal position, which he said, listen, knowing how you are and how you hustle and how you work, you're going to be fine. But it was always that little voice in my head that I'm like, but what if it doesn't work? You just left your whole job.
Yeah.
Around that time, my father was, still battling cancer, basically taking care of myself. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I could do this. So I decided to take that leap of faith and, apply for the position. I got it as a seasonal sales associate.
And does that mean you were working in the stores?
Yeah, I was working in the stores. Yeah, I was working in sales.
Okay.
Yeah, so at their first boutique.
Which was where? In the
in
city?
Soho.
In
Yeah.
Soho, okay.
Yeah, in Prince
Much
Street.
different world.
Listen, I'm telling you.
Much different world.
So you have no idea the transition into real estate. I'm like, what is going on in here?
So,
It's a little bougie. It's a little bougie over there in the
but
city.
you're a Bronx girl at heart, so it's all right.
No, yeah, definitely.
You
Listen, that's what made me successful, not for nothing.
So now you're in Soho. You're a seasonal sales associate at Montclair.
Right. So now I'm just, I tell my boss, I'm like, listen, what do I got to do to make it to full time? He's like, listen, not so fast. He was like, we're not going to jump from seasonal associate to full time. You're going to have to work your way up, and you're going to have to work your way up into part-time. I'll let you know if there's a position. So the fact that I did not have that security, it made me work like 20 times harder.
There goes that same work ethic. The same
Yes,
one you were talking
like that.
about from your father.
Yes, just like that. And also just like that scared. I'm like, oh my God, like there is no plan B. There's no plan B. I just left my full-time job to go into a seasonal sales position, by the way, which they were giving me only 21 hours.
Okay.
And now I gotta hustle. And when I tell you that I was hustling, Steve, I'm talking about working every single weekend. I was picking up hours from other people that did not want to work so that I can try to make 30 hours, at least, or 40 hours, so I can have, a decent check.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And I mean, I was just hustling. I'm like, do you want to work next weekend? They're like, no, good. I'll pick up your hours. What are you doing on Monday? Good. I'll pick up
You
your
want a day
hours.
off? Hey, you want a day off?
You want a day off? Don't you want to? Give me your hours. I was just, and my boss started to notice that. And then, I kept working hard. And then I became like the number one sales associate in the country.
Wow. Okay.
In the country. So now my third year in, I was like, you know what? I'm very successful, and glory to God, right? I was like, but I need more. Like, I feel like I'm just keep doing the same thing over and over. I need a change. So that now one of my colleagues comes up to me. He's like, hey, they're opening up this position in corporate. And I don't know why I just thought about telling you. But I was like, corporate, that's exactly where I want to be. I am tired of being in the sales floor. Like, I'm just tired. I've already done everything, achieved everything. By the way, I ended up getting the part-time position. Now I asked for full-time. That was another conversation. Then my boss had full-time, blah, blah, blah. You got basically, he just kept telling me the entire time, you got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
You got to pay your dues. You got to work hard. And I'm like, I've been the top sales associate for 3-4 months. He was like, that's not enough.
There goes that resilience again.
Yes, it was like, I'm like.
You see how a lot of the same themes, when we tell our stories, a lot of the same themes appear?
Yeah, I never really thought about that.
Right?
You're right. You're right. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Time to bring it up a notch. right? And you know, he was tough on me, but he was tough on me because he saw the potential. And I was like, listen, I need full time. Like, I need full time. And then I kept working hard. I finally ended up getting that full time. And then my third year, I'm like, you know, I'm very successful. I need more. Like, what is next? So now I'm having conversations with colleagues. I'm like, you know what? I'm talking about that position in corporate. And of course, you know, here comes the negative Nancy's. I'm going to be nice because I'm a nice Christian.
Yes, there you go.
That are just like, no, well, I tried it. It didn't work for me. Or I've been doing this longer than you, which is the line I'm constantly hearing my whole life.
These are people telling you this when you're telling them that you
Yeah,
want to
like,
apply
oh,
for this job.
well, you know, I was talking to a colleague of mine and I'm like super excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to present this opportunity to my boss. This is where I want to be. I want to move into corporate. And that guy, it's just a shame because it was a guy too. I mean, I had a couple of those. And he was like, you know, I want to tell you something, Caroline. I'm going to tell you this because I think you're a great girl and you're nice and everything. And he was like, but I've been here a little longer than you. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and I tried. And it didn't work for me. And not only did it work for me, then he points at this other girl. She's been here for, you know, such and such time. And she's also tried, and they denied her.
So they tried the corporate position that you were trying
Yes.
to...
This was a different position in corporate. The position that I was going for was a position of a brand manager, which will be overseeing the Montclair business,
Okay.
right? In a department store, let's just say. It's just so funny I'm talking about this stuff. It's making me so many memories. But, you know.
I told you, it's a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster. You did say that. I'm like, what does it mean by that? But hey, you know what? My story can, you know, help somebody, you know,
That's the
inspire
idea.
somebody to never give up, right?
That's the idea.
But I said, you know what? I said, listen, I think you're a great guy, just the same way you said I'm a great girl. But just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean it's not going to work for me.
Exactly. Boom.
Right.
There it is.
And he was like, okay, well, good luck. And obviously gave me tons of attitude. So then now, just so you know, off of that, now I'm becoming the talk of the town. So now I'm like this girl that's just like dreaming and thinking about all these things that everybody tried and did not work. But me, I've always been into, I dream big, right? Like I dream big. I listen, if God tells you you're going to be an astronaut and God is powering you to do it, you're going to be that.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that, and I felt it in my spirit that God had more for me. And I didn't care. The whole world was telling me it's not going to happen. So now I go to my boss and I say, hey, I just wanted you to know, because I don't want you to think I'm stepping on your toes. I have respect for you, that I'm going to apply for this position. Would you back me up? He's like, oh, you know, Caroline.
Oh, another negative Nancy, huh?
Well, the thing is, listen, he was so supportive, but, you know, I was very good at what I did, you know, and, you know, when you're running a business, you don't want your strongest
You don't want to keep
soldiers
people...
to leave.
Yes, okay.
Right.
All right, that's a
So-
great perspective. That's a great
Smart,
perspective.
just in case you're watching.
That's a great perspective. That's a great perspective.
So, you know, and listen, he was great. He was a great mentor. Like he was absolutely amazing. But you know, he's like, oh, you know, it's not gonna be the same. He was like, you know, let's just see. And I mean, it just got to the point that I said, I got tired. I got tired of waiting. I felt like God kept putting in my spirit. The positions just kept coming up in my mind. And I said, listen, either you have my back or I leave. Because it got to that point. Like, what? I need more. I need more. You know what? I become so successful already that I'm like, damn, like, you know, I deserve a little bit more, right? Like, I deserve to be compensated for my success a little bit more.
Well, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of, you know, obviously we're both with Keller Williams, and Gary Keller says that you have to build your world big enough so everybody's dreams could fit in it. Because your team members and your employees, and if you're growing a big business, people are going to outgrow their positions as you were outgrowing. So, you know, people were trying to stifle you potentially and keep you there instead of trying to figure out a way to make their world bigger so that way your dreams could fit in it, because you might not have maybe not left, if they were able to give you these other positions to feed your appetite and your ambition.
Exactly. Okay, so you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I even remember having one of our corporate partners who was she ran the publicity department. She always will come in with all these celebrities and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. Because I actually have a background also in publicity. For when I used to work in the music business. That's another thing. I don't know if you know about me.
No, I did not.
Yes,
I did not.
yes,
That wasn't in your
yes,
bio, Miss. That wasn't in your bio, Miss Rodriguez.
Yeah, Steve, let me tell you something. I can write a book. But
You should.
listen, super quick. I worked for Loud Records,
Okay.
which is
Familiar with Loud
major
Records,
record
yeah.
label that signed Big Pun.
Absolutely.
I worked in the PR. In the public relations. Are you laughing like, what has
I'm
not
laughing
this girl
because
done?
I'm laughing because I'm a PR major.
Get the freak out of here. Okay.
I'm a PR major. So when somebody tells me that they speak that language,
we
it
speak
speaks to my,
the same
to my
language,
soul.
the good times, right?
That's why I'm laughing.
Yes. So I worked, I worked for Loud Records, and then after Loud Records, I worked for Swiss Beats.
Okay.
J Records.
Swiss Beats.
Yeah, I did a lot of publicity, for him and some of his artists. I worked with celebrity car shows with Fun Master Flex. After that, I worked with Rough Riders doing the same thing. So, how do we end up over here?
Let's go back.
Publicity.
Let's go back. So global. So you're applying for the global brand ambassador position, right?
Yeah.
And people are telling you.
So I was telling you that I had met somebody from the PR department.
Yes.
Steve, my life is a movie. We can go on and on. I'm glad you're doing a lot of editing because I'm telling you right now, you can pull out popcorn with my life. But I went to that lady and she treated me very poorly. Like when I tell you that I went up to her, I was like, hi, my name is Karoline. I'm interested in applying for that position in public relations. Like the way she looked at me, she was just treating me very poorly. And I'm like, oh my God, if this lady only knew that I'm the top sales associate in the country, right? That I'm asking to be given an opportunity and publicity when I got the experience. Like, you know what?
USA.
Yes, because I just thought of something. I'm like, so for me, that was just like another person just trying to close that door. So then now I'm gonna try to fast forward the story because my story with that company is very long. I mean, I was there for 8 years.
Wow. Okay.
So now I go up to my boss. I'm like, listen, either you support me or I'm out. So now he set up a meeting with corporate. I sat down with them, and they were still even trying to tell me, like, hey, do you want to stay at store level? You're absolutely great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, listen, I'm just kind of like ready for more. So then that's when I was given the position to oversee our business at Saks Fifth Avenue. So now I'm overseeing the women's business from a wholesale distribution. So corporate was wholesale.
Okay.
And then from there, I think if I'm not mistaken, I took that business from 1.2 million to 1.4 million. So once they saw the numbers, Saks immediately reached out to my boss, which was the vice president who now I was reporting to.
Okay.
Oh my God, we love the numbers. We see what Caroline's doing, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk. We want to make an offer. But I was employed by Montclair, so I couldn't really leave. I was super loyal to Montclair. I love Montclair to this day. I'm wearing the brand. But, I did such a great job that, my boss was like, listen, you keep doing a great job. We'll promote you. And I went from overseeing the women's business to now overseeing the kids department and the men's department.
Okay.
I did such a great job there. Then now I started overseeing New Jersey. I did such a great job there that I started expanding, and now I'm overseeing like all the
So it
major
just kept getting more and
luxury.
more and more.
When I tell you Bergdorf Goodman, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom,
But
Barney's.
But Montclair with these brands, right?
With Montclair. So now I'm the brand manager overseeing the business for all these different accounts.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
So then now I'm doing that, I think for like about a year and a half. And my boss hits me up. She's like, hey, let's talk. I was reporting to the VP, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she was like, I was having a conversation with the president, and because you've been doing such a great job, we would like to offer you the first brand ambassador position.
There it is.
And I'm like, what
There it is.
in the world? The funny thing is that I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like corporate. But she was like, well, it's you're kind of going back out there, going back in the sales flow, but it's going to, obviously they were going to compensate me. And they're like, we just really think that you will be such a great representation. Like, it's kind of like being
That's
the
amazing.
face. And I'm like, wow, like being the face of this amazing luxury French-Italian company that, by the way, I dreamed of owning one of their jackets. Like when I walked into that store, I'm like, I could never own any of these jackets. I got 15 of them now.
What responsibilities came with that?
So,
Like, what does the brand ambassador do?
So as a brand ambassador, instead of working with the regular walk-in client, my job was gonna be to work with what we call the high rollers, right? Like our VIP clients, like the celebrities.
Okay.
Just driving business, like outside business here. Like, for example, I remember one of my friends who's a fashion stylist, she called me and told me that she had Megan Thee Stallion in town. She was going to get signed to Jay-Z. And she's like, oh my God, like,
Let's get her in Montclair.
yes, like I need you to, just talk to, whoever you need to talk to, and let's get some product in here so we can style her for this big party that Jay-Z was gonna do for her. So I got super excited. I'm like, this is exactly what I signed up for.
Yep.
And all that good stuff. So now I'm basically, working with celebrities. And another thing I didn't tell you that at the beginning of my career in Montclair, God was already preparing me for that level because I was servicing clients like Leonardo DiCaprio was my client, Pharrell Williams, Lindsay Lohan.
Well, you're down in Soho.
Those were my clients, and my boss would be like, Lindsay Lohan walked in, go introduce yourself to her. And think about it, and the reason why my boss liked me was because I already had that background of working with celebrities, so I wasn't starstruck.
Because your history in the music business.
Yeah, so my boss would trust me that I wasn't gonna sit there and be like, oh my God, like
Now fangirl out. Yeah.
Yes, no, he knew like Karoline, except for this one time, and this is my favorite story of all time.
Give it to me.
Because of my background working with celebrities, I never got overly excited. Like, you have to be Michael Jackson for me to get excited, honestly. And not even that. And also, I wasn't a Christian at that time, but when you grow a relationship with God, you don't really get excited about people because no one is above God. Like, that's the way I look at it.
That's a good way to tie it back.
Yes. But I remember this one time, whatever celebrity would walk in, my boss would be like, listen, Karoline such and such walked in or whatever, or we have an appointment, corporate reached out, we have whatever celebrity coming in, I want you to help them. But this one time, he didn't tell me he was coming. I don't even think no one knew who this person, that this person was the person I'm about to tell you. So the guy walks all the way to the back. And my boss was like, oh, that guy keeps looking at that jacket. He was looking at a Python jacket, which is about maybe like 10 grand. He was like, do you mind going over there and introducing yourself? And I was like, no, not a problem. So then I go up to the guy and I was like, hi, my name is, Karoline Rodriguez. If you have any questions, please let me know. We don't have everything disclosed on the showroom. We call them the showroom, the showroom sales floor. Yep. The guy turned around and then I said, and what is your name? When he turned around, it was Leonardo DiCaprio. I was like, now I gotta back up. I had a moment like
right?
I was like, I went like this. He goes, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Leo. I wanted to be like,
yeah,
I'll never let go, Jack. Literally, that's what I wanted to say. Get it? Get it? Get it?
Yeah, got it.
I wanted to
Jack, yeah.
Go, Jack. I was like, look, I'm
Did
getting
you sell
to
the
you now.
jacket?
So Montclair gave it to him.
Okay.
With a couple of other jackets. But I was like, nice to meet you. I know exactly who you are. I was like, OMG, in my head, this is Leonardo DiCaprio, and I cannot believe this. So I was like, okay, he asked me about a couple of sizes. I've become so good by looking at a person and knowing exactly what size they were that before he even told me what size he was, I already told him, you're a size 6. He's like, yeah. He probably thought I was crazy. So I was like, let me grab a couple of things that set you up in a fitting room. But I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing.
A long way from that small 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To sit here styling
right.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Are you kidding me? Right. These people became my clients.
Yeah. The people you used to see on TV.
I mean, listen, Leonardo DiCaprio is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He's A-list.
Yeah.
Forget about any.
Oh, yeah.
In my head, I'm like, I don't even care about anybody that I ever work with, anybody in the music business. I'm sorry, no disrespect if any of my
I hear you.
people in the music business, but I'm like, this guy is like next
I don't
level.
think anybody would be mad about
This
that.
is Hollywood. Sorry, guys. But now even just having a conversation with you, I'm like, oh my goodness, like God was preparing me for that.
Yep.
Because as an ambassador, as an ambassador of this big luxury company, there's a lot of expectations and the bar is really high. You have to conduct yourself a certain way. You have to look a certain way. You have to carry yourself a certain way. It's just, eyes is on you. And
How long were you a brand ambassador for?
so thanks to the pandemic, less than a year. So now all these amazing things that I was telling you about, they stopped.
Because of the pandemic.
They stopped. We couldn't really go outside, and
yeah,
they didn't
yeah,
want
yeah.
us to, for example, like we had set up this like amazing. We were showcasing like the fall winter ski collection at the Baccarat Hotel, which was a very high level
I've heard of
event.
it.
We invited all these, people, doctors and all that stuff to show the collection. I'm like, okay, this is what I worked so hard for. Like going into 7 years at that time, this is what I signed up. This makes sense. But when the pandemic happened, we wasn't able to do events anymore. Another perk of being an ambassador, if I had somebody that was a high roller that wanted to go shopping at a boutique in Milan, Montclair will pay for me to go over there.
Oh, wow.
If you was to come up to me, K-Rod, like you call me, I need a couple of things from the store, right? And it wasn't just jackets, Steve. Like we sold an entire lifestyle, like from beautiful polos to to vests to pants to sneakers.
I guess
to shoes.
jackets are the one that just kind of stick out in everybody's mind. Well, for mine.
That's
for me
how we
personally.
started. Yeah. That's how we started. You see,
So-
Montclair's still in my heart. I said, that's how we started. I have not been there in 3 years.
So pandemic happens, and then is that when you then transition into real estate?
Yeah, I was like, I have to be honest, I became very unhappy. I'm like, I felt like I went back to square one, and that is something that no one understood.
When you say you went back to square one, what do you mean? Like
When I
because
first started, it's
in
like
real
now
estate?
in retail, like in my career.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to the point that my boss was like, "Are you okay? Like, we need to talk because you don't seem like the same person."
But run me through that. So you're the brand ambassador. Pandemic happens. Then what's the next?
So now, remember, I'm just working with everybody, basically. I'm working with that walking client, right? Which is, fine and dandy here, but I accepted this position because I had the honor, right? The honor, the luxury, the privilege of being able to, travel the world with these, high rollers or, partner up with restaurants, with hotels to do events, like all these creative things that I loved.
And that stopped because of the pandemic?
Because of the pandemic, because we wasn't able to do that anymore, remember?
So what they do? They switched you back to
Regular
retail?
sales associate.
Oh, gotcha. That's where I was. Okay, cool.
So it's like I have the responsibilities of this brand ambassador, but then it's just I felt like I went back. It actually felt depressing. I'm like, I put blood, sweat, and tears into making it to where I'm at, and all of a sudden it's like the rug gets pulled. Like, no, you're gonna go back 8 years, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like I'm doing the same thing that a regular sales associate, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, but it's like, when you work so hard, right? They say work hard for the things that you want, and I put, telling you, blood, sweat, and tears to get to that position. I mean, I told you, I was told things. People try to put me down, and I just kept going. It was just such a tough journey. To then now saying like, oh, that never existed. You're going back to square one.
What were you feeling besides? I mean, obviously depressing, But like, what was the final straw?
I was
how
like,
did
you know what? Maybe God is telling me you need more. I'm ready. You're ready for the next level. Honestly, that's what I felt like God was telling me, and maybe you need to help people in a different type of way. So then I started having a conversation with my boss, and I'm like, listen, the reality is I'm not happy. I think I need to try something different. I don't know what it was. But then, fast forward, I think like a couple of months later, I go to this charity event, and I meet this gentleman at the bar. And, he introduces himself to me. We start talking, and he was like, you know what? This is going to sound very weird and very random, but you have a really, really nice personality. And have you ever thought about real estate?
And that was Izzy.
No, it was some other guy.
Oh, okay.
He was a broker at a boutique, right? That's what they call him, like a boutique in Queens.
The smaller.
Yes, and I was like, you know what? I thought about it, but real estate seemed intimidating to me.
Well, I mean,
Right.
you were just rubbing shoulders with Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, I think you could sell some houses.
Right. Right. Now that I think about it, it's so funny. So then he was like, you know what? I want to give you my card. And I was like, well, I don't even know, how do I even start? And he's like, well, you have to go to school. You have to go to school. You have to take the test, and that's how you get your license. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, this is so overwhelming. I don't know what to do. So then one day, I'm there at work, and I'm like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. Like, I can't. I think that God was like literally pushing me for that next chapter. And I had a conversation with my boss, and I'm like, I think it's time. And I left Montclair. I called the guy up, right? Now I'm like, oh my God, I got to do something. I'm like, this is crazy. I had a decent amount of money saved in my bank account.
Okay, good.
Very good money. Don't ask me where that money went, because it's going to depress me.
We'll get into that in a moment. So.
And then, I went to school. I went to a very good school in the city on 34th Street. And
Was it NYREI?
yes. Oh my God, it was such a good school.
That's where I got my license
loved
from, too.
You did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it, Steve. Then we have a lot of things in common. That's crazy.
2004.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
2004.
a very long time ago.
Yeah.
So then I went to school. I called the guy. I get my license. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in the Bronx. Like, Queens, that's too far. It's a small boutique. So then I'm like, nah. I was like, I don't know. Now I'm getting overwhelmed. But now I'm consulting with my teachers. And, they're telling me, they start connecting me to with different brokerages.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? That's it. I know what I want to do. I want to sell real estate in Manhattan. I'm a city girl. I've been working here for decades upon decades. I want to do it. I was like, I want to be in corporate. I want to be in corporate. I made that decision myself without being interviewed. And then I just started interviewing all these like brokerages. Some of them, it was exciting. Some of them was a little scary. I did have a weird interview with the guy. As soon as I got off the phone with him, I was like, you know what? Let me think about it. He told me all these people that, it's under him and stuff and it's great. But I'm like, you know what? I need hand holding. Like, I need somebody that's going to walk me through this business because I've heard of, people not making it their first year. So I'm like, for me, it's important.
90%, 9 out of every 10 agents that are licensed in the first year don't make it.
90% that high?
90%
I thought it was like
make it.
75.
No, it's like 9 out of 10.
So then for me, I already knew that doing my homework, and I'm like, it's important that, my broker is somebody that I can look up as a mentor. But this guy scared me, telling me that he got like 30 people under him. And as soon as we hung up, I checked my email. He sent me the contract. I'm like, we never even talk about this. I'm like, you're done.
So that brokerage didn't work. You didn't feel comfortable. The vibes weren't there.
Didn't work.
Didn't speak to your soul.
It did not speak to my correct. So now I'm just like, I know I want to be in the city.
Tell me how you were introduced to Keller Williams. That's what I want to know.
So then I'm like, okay, Karoline, you have to be smart about this, right? You live in the Bronx. So the number one thing that you should do is master your market, right? Before you go and jump into the wolves, which is the city, let's be honest.
I mean, the city, Manhattan is the epicenter of the world.
So I will tell you that I was freaking out, stressed for weeks and weeks and weeks. And one day I walk into the restaurant in the Bronx, made in Puerto Rico. I'm there. I meet up with one of my former corporate partners from Saks Fifth Avenue, just to kind of like catch up or whatever. And as we're having a conversation, I say something to one of the owners and something about my real estate, whatever. He's like, oh my God. He was like, you're in real estate? I was like, yeah, I'm about to take my test. He was like, this is my boy. And he's with Keller Williams.
Okay.
So he was like, maybe you guys should. And I hear, see, it's real. Hey, what's up? So you're interested in real estate? I was like, okay, everybody calm down. So, so Israel, I have to be honest, he was very patient with me.
Yeah,
because
shout out to Israel, man.
Yeah, no, listen, I was...
Great guy.
I was low-key freaky now, and he knows that. And he's like, listen, would you be open, to joining, Keller Williams? I said, let me think about it. Not sending you a contract
immediately after you had a conversation.
No, he knew exactly what to do. Israel was very different than every other person that approached me about real estate. Like, he was patient.
That's his personality, though. He's got a...
But that's very smart, because when you show fear, you're like, you want something like, like he wanted me to be part of his team, and that's when you lose it. But he was just so chill that I was like, you know what? I'm willing to entertain a conversation with your broker. I was like, and he's like, okay, not a problem. He sets up an interview with Jamal. I go to the office. He's like, listen, Jamal's a little busy. I was like, okay, well, I'm not joining and I'm not signing nothing without meeting the broker. I need to meet the broker. So he's like, okay, but I'm pretty sure in his head he was like, oh, God. He's like, oh, God. So he tells Jamal, and Jamal takes the time to meet with me. For me, it was very important that the broker was a good person and was a person of God, by the way. A man with principle and a man with morals. Immediately. So when I walked into the office, I'm still praying. I'm like, I don't really want to do the Bronx. But I'm like, Karoline, it makes sense. Remember, I'm already used to, you mentioned, a whole different world. Yeah. So for me, it just felt...
Well, the Bronx has that stigma, but there's plenty of high-end real estate that's happening in the Bronx.
No, you're absolutely correct, and not nice of me to think like that. But I was already conditioned. I'm like, I'm in the city, I'm hanging out.
Saks Fifth Avenue,
Madison Avenue, hello.
So you meet Jamal, and you got some good vibes.
So I actually the funny thing is that I walked into the office, and something tells me, my spirit actually tells me to look to the right, and I saw the mission. What is our mission?
God, family, then business.
Exactly. And I said, wow. I was like, okay, this feels right. I was like, this is probably a sign. So now I get the interview with Jamal, and let me tell you something. That man, 90% of our conversation was never about business.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is it. I was like, I think this is home.
Yeah.
And it was just about, he loved being in the field of service. He talked about when he was a waiter, how he looked forward to giving someone, a napkin or ketchup for their burger. And I was just so intrigued. And the way that he talked about God and his love for God, I was like, God, this is confirmation. Yeah. This is home.
Sign me up.
This is home. So then I told Israel. Israel's like, so how did it go? Because, from the very beginning, I told Israel, listen, I'm not signing with anybody. And I don't know. And he could just sense that I was, I was overwhelmed, Steve. It's not easy.
Yeah,
I left my career. I left everything to start over to become, an independent contractor. And people don't realize how scary that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I've always been an independent contractor. So for me, but I do recognize it. And I understand, because you're leaving security. You're leaving that paycheck. You're leaving the benefits. You're leaving that world. And now you're coming into
the
whole
world. But it felt
world.
Right, as scary as it was.
That's what it is. You went with your gut.
I don't like to have a boss. Like, I am a creative. Like, there's all these things that I like to do. I don't like to do what everybody else is doing. And sometimes when you work for certain companies, they kind of box you in and they don't allow for you to do things. So, I was like, listen, I was like, I think I want to do this. So he connected me with the office manager at that time. And, she gave me the paperwork and I signed.
There you go. I remember
sign a Keller Williams.
Yeah. I remember when you started coming into the office, and I remember you were very headstrong, very focused, very much wanting to make this work. What were some of those early struggles that you had, transitioning from being in corporate to now owning your own business?
I mean, it's the money for me. You know, I used to get paid every week. And now I'm getting paid. Who knows when I'm getting paid?
Well,
Nobody knows when I'm getting paid.
well, the idea is to build the business, as you know, you've seen, to the point where those checks come in more frequently.
Correct. But, you know, just going from like that consistent income, like, okay, I know that I'm going to get paid Friday, to now like, oh, I think I'm going to get paid 3 months from now. That was the ultimate struggle, right? I didn't have anybody to tell me, just so you know, Karoline, this is what it is. Real estate is a roller coaster, like you mentioned. You know, like I was sold a little bit of a dream to where I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, I can close a deal in 30 days or 2 months. And hey, you know what? Listen, I done it. I done it, and I give God the glory because I'm good at what I do, and I'm very natural when it comes to like customer service. This business is built on service and on relationships. But we can't control everything. We can't control the other side. So while we're thinking, okay, you know what, I can close in 30 days, the other side might drop the ball, and then now you're closing 2 months later, 3 months later. And
so that transition of now not knowing when your next check is coming from, how did you overcome that? How did you like, why'd you stick with it?
I mean, it made me work harder. It made me work harder because I was scared. I'm like, what about how am I supposed to pay my bills?
That savings account.
It always had me on my toes, but it does. There were many times that it got to me. Everybody's in their own world. Everybody's on, trying to build their business and stuff like that. And it wasn't easy.
What advice would you give to somebody in their first year in real estate?
I have a couple of things. Save a lot of money because you never know when that next check is coming. Another thing, make sure that you find a mentor and someone who, not everybody wants to see you win, right?
Yep.
That's just the reality
that's
of it.
fact.
The same way that there's good, there's bad. Not everybody wants to see you win, but just making sure that you have a conversation with that person and that your morals, your values, that those things align. And then now even as a person of faith, that your faith aligns, because a person 9 times out of 10, a person that has a relationship with God is going to do the right thing because they're going to fear. Like for me, it's like even like a little white lie. I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. I want to do the right thing. I want to always do the right thing.
What I hear when I hear you say that is make sure that somebody's core values align with yours.
That's exactly what it is.
Right. That mentor, whoever it is that you choose. Save some money, find a mentor whose core values align with yours, right?
And then always make sure that you have an unpopular opinion. Just have a little side hustle, something that you can tap into to get money in case, there's an emergency.
That's not so
whatever.
unpopular.
I don't know, but going back to rentals is very unpopular.
Yes, that's all right. But
I did not have anybody speak to me about having that type of income, right? Like it's a little easier. It's easier, but then it's not because like
once
all this
you
stuff.
once you get it, and you learn it, then it becomes easier.
But for me, it's like I wish that I would have not been so caught up in like yes, great, doing the sales and stuff like that. But like, I wish I would have done those things because you know what? Your bills, they start to accumulate, Steve. That's just the reality of it. And that's what's happening. I'm thinking I'm going to close that deal in 30 days. Now I'm closing that deal in 2 months. Yep. Remember, we deal with personal expenses and we deal with business expenses. You have to have some type of income.
Yep.
Or if not, you're not going to survive. And I survive through the grace of God. That I just kept going and going and going. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you.
I want to, I got a couple questions for you before we wrap up here. This one is something that I ask every single guest that sits in your seat.
Yeah. How
do you want to be remembered when you are gone? After your time on this earth is done, how do you want to be remembered? What's Karoline's legacy going to be?
I want to be remembered by someone that was honest, someone that was good-hearted, and someone that made them feel happy at one point, Because there's this saying that, people forget what you did for them, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Do you think that you're on that path?
Yes. I get people all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like I needed that, that phone call. I needed that word, or I needed that hug, or I needed. Maybe they were struggling financially. I needed those groceries, and I'm like, it makes me feel good. Like I am such a giver. Like I'm so selfless. Like it's the gift and the curse, because it's like, damn, I could have $1 left. And I'm like, here you go, Steve.
Well, that kind of leads me into my next question. If you had to name your superpower, what would that be?
Wow, healing.
Okay, tell me more.
Tell you.
Tell me more. Healing.
I feel like I can, from what I'm gathering from people that I've met, that I can touch them and speak to them in a way that they never been spoken to before. Like I can see past the wall. And it's funny you mentioned that, you asked me that, because one Sunday I was in church and this lady came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I want to tell you something. It's going to sound a little weird, but God has given you a gift." It's funny you're talking to me about myself. I was like, "Really? What is it?" And she was like, "You're a healer." Literally, she said, "You're Karoline the healer." I'm like, "Oh my God." So now I'm like, I'm crying. I invite people to my church all the time. And let me tell you something, they come in and they never leave.
What church is that?
Church of Harvest.
Nice. Where is that?
It's nice. It's on 2626 East Tremont.
Okay, it's in the
Check it
Bronx.
out, guys. Check it out. You're going to love it.
If you had, do you have a quote or a mantra that you like to live by?
I do have one for business. My client's happiness is my biggest success.
Okay. Tell me, why is that important?
Because without the client, where are you going? You're going. I like to make people happy, right? I like to help people. I like to service people. So if they're not happy, then it's not a good experience for me. Like I'm not money driven. I'm people driven.
How about life? Do you have like a life mantra? Something that you live by?
Not a mantra, but a Bible quote that I have here on my phone.
Okay,
and
yeah,
I live
sure.
by this every day. Which
It's funny because I was just going to ask you if you had a favorite scripture.
I actually do, and I had this. It's a long story about this wallpaper, but I had it for about 1.5 years, and it's Matthew 6:33, and it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all of these things will be given to you." Which means that God first and everything else. And when you put God first, He will give you everything else, and that is a fact. Because when I started putting God first in my business, I saw my life dramatically change. Like God kept saying, "Give me your business, give me your business. Stop chasing the business and chase me." And listen, I went to a point in my life that I had $0 in the bank, and then I had 30,000. And it was because of Him, because I made the switch. And I kept saying every Sunday, I pray every day, but I'm like, God, like I'm struggling. Like, what do I gotta do? And God kept saying, "Give me your business, give me your business, give me your business. Stop chasing the money. I'm going to give it to you. It's going to come." Oh my God, Steve, I'm telling you right now. I still have a picture to this day of a productivity board, a productivity board that I was not in it. And then I became the #1 producing agent. And I remember because someone sent me in the office like, "Oh my God, look, congratulations." I was like,
Yep.
No way.
Look at God.
That's the thing that I said, look at God, like this is insane.
Yep. All right, we're going to do a quick rapid fire. Okay?
Rapid fire? What is that? I'm nervous.
Quick questions, quick answers. All right? And then we're going to wrap up. So tell me, favorite meal?
Italian food.
Okay. Favorite book?
The Bible.
Favorite color?
I like black.
Okay. Favorite music that you like to listen to in the car?
Worship music.
There it is. Okay. There it is. Okay, so that camera right there is yours. So I want you just tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Well, my number is 917-373-5842. You guys can also hit me up via email, which is Karoline, Karoline.Rodriguez@gmail.com.
Karoline, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
awesome.
Steve. This was so much fun. Oh my God.
Would you mind just saying a prayer before we go?
Oh my
for
God!
us?
Wow. Wow.
Something quick, simple.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'll try.
Let's go. Come on.
We gotta hold hands.
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this moment that you have arranged. I want to thank you for the life of your son, Steve, for giving me this opportunity to share your testimony, my testimony, and to spread the good news about you. I pray that you continue to protect us, to guide us, and to lead us into your perfect plan. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This has been another episode of the Padernacht Podcast. Take care.
Thank you.